What is up, my YouTubian subscribers? Secure here to do my second ever second opinions video. This time, RWBY Volume 5, Chapter 13, Downfall. Now, first off, there's a lot of misconceptions I want to clear up for the people who watch my videos on this video. Now, where should I begin? Probably at the beginning of the episode. John doesn't have a semblance yet. Plain and simple. To all the people who are saying his semblance is healing, he's somehow charging up people's aura, his semblance. No. Nora and John have an exchange that says that he doesn't have a semblance. Essentially, is what Nora and Jean are talking at the beginning of the episode. Jean says, Nora says, you should just be happy you unlocked your semblance right now. Because he's complaining about how he wishes his healing would go a little faster. Jean, and then Nora says, oh well, just quit complaining, you unlock your semblance. And she's like, how? And then he's like, my semblance? And she's like, yeah, how else do you think you're healing her, dummy? And Jean looks down at his hands, he looks at Nora, and he's like, no, this doesn't feel like a semblance, this feels like aura. And then Nora says, well, aren't you afraid that you'll run out? If it's just aura, aren't you afraid you're gonna run out? And Jean replies with, no, Pyrrha once told me I had a lot of aura, and I still believe her. He basically, what he's doing, at least how I interpreted it, was he was acting as a battery for her. Okay, he was using his aura as a gas, essentially, as a level of gas to give Weiss the energy she needed to heal herself. Now, will this have any repercussions? Because we've never seen an aura exchange, at least not one of this magnitude. I don't know. I think, I'd like it. I'm a big fan of Jean and Weiss. I think that the idea of the knight in shining armor and the former heiress, the knight in shining armor who's not at all a knight in shining armor, and the former princess who's nothing like a standard princess, I like that idea, and I think they could go places with that idea. That being said, I don't know, because they a lot of times RWBY will just ignore things like this. But who knows? Maybe they'll have some kind of bond. Maybe they'll be more empathetic to one another, can tell when one another's, like, here's how I'd write it personally. I'd write it as something like a semi-soul bond, where Jean and Weiss are more empathetic to one another. They can tell when one another's mad or sad. The deeper, stronger feelings, the real heart-wrenching anger, or the real heart-wrenching sadness, the deep depressions, furious and fury, things that strong emotions I would feel. And then, yeah, that's how I'd write it. It was a level of a soul bond, but without like the full, because a lot of times there's no in between. Like, a lot of times I'll read fan fictions and bond stories where the guy and girl, or the girl and girl, or the guy and guy. I've never personally read a guy and guy or a girl and girl soul bond, because they're a lot more rare. But not against the idea, whatever. But anyways, off topic. I'm hoping that's what's gonna happen. I'm hoping that Weiss will get an aura boost because of this. I think that her aura will begin to mimic more Jean's absurd amount of aura, because she just needs something, because she's constantly getting knocked out. Like, we seen it during the Paladin, we seen it during the second phase of the Vital Festival. She's a very I like her semblance, I like her personality, I love her style. It's just she gets knocked out so much. She's like and so I'd like it if Jean's abnormally large aura begins to reflect in Weiss to give her a bit of an advantage. Next up, let's move on to the Blake Adam scene. Now, outside of one Adam, I ignored it in my review, but I'm gonna bring it up now. Blake should have went to the left and not right, or vice versa. I can't quite remember, but basically when she uses her semblance to dodge, she shouldn't have been able to dodge. The backswing of Adam's slash should have still caught her. If not in the stomach, around the neck, because he swung like this and up. So it should have still caught her. Now, had she went down, had she made some kind of movement to dodge the blade, I wouldn't have cared, but she would have been caught by the blade. Now, I ignored that because it was something small, something insignificant, but I'm doing a second opinions video, so I'm going to bring it up. It's not, as for the inevitable, well, he was taken down by one shot, I've been reading a lot of that. No, Adam is still a functioning warrior at this point. The people are saying that Blake going boom and knocking him. He got knocked down. But we're talking about super strong, super fast, super durable characters. His aura didn't even flicker. Like when Tyrion nailed Ruby in the gut, you could see her aura flash. When he cut her fucking crescent rose or her hand, you could see her aura flash because of just how strong Tyrion was. He was damaging aura to a visible degree each time he hit someone, except for Jean. I would like to point that out too. The we have no, like, Jean's aura seems to be abnormally large into the degree that we've never even seen it flicker, and he's fought some very strong people. He got kicked in the top of the head and then drop kicked away from Tyrion, and that was enough to cause Ruby's aura to completely shatter, whereas Jean didn't even flicker. So I'm like, this whole idea that he has his aura seems to be the largest we've seen in the series is what I'm getting at. Now back on topic with Adam and Blake. With Blake and Adam, we didn't see that his aura flicker. He just laid there for a second and then he's like just killed them all. Now I'd also like to I made a mistake when describing the episode. Basically, Blake is standing on the roof. We then have the exchange where Adam says she can't beat him, essentially, and then she jumps down, yeah, and she's like, yeah, not alone, and then Sun says no, she's not alone. So I made a mistake there. I'm not gonna act like it was a major mistake. It really didn't change the outcome of the events at all. The Faunus Civil War happens, other than the fact that I didn't bring it up in my review, but there was like 7 fucking Faunus with Adam. That being said, I'm hoping in the next episode we see a second string of Faunus who are on the wings waiting, who Adam calls in for support. Because right now, Mama Belladonna, Gear Belladonna, Blake and Sun would have been able to handle these guys. Is essentially, Adam is the only real threat at Haven from the White Fang, and I know the White Fang as a whole, just because they're fodder. The Grimm, the at least the lesser Grimm, have been fodderized completely. Beowulfs, Ursa, everything has been fodderized for the Grimm because the huntresses and hunters are so powerful. Everything. The bandit tribe was supposed to be pretty tough. They turned out to be mooks. The White Fang were mooks all along. So really, Adam's the only threat at Haven currently. So let's go on. Let's go on to the last part of the episode, the fight between the two maidens. Now I said in my review that that the fight was enjoyable for two huntresses fighting, and I'll stand by that statement because I've rewatched it about 5 or 6 times currently, and I'm working on a 6th time. I'll probably watch it one more time before I go to bed here. But here's the problem: it was a sword fight between two huntresses. There was one exchange where it looked like they used a lot of their maiden energy, and the final hit that Raven landed on Cinder was clearly a freaking maiden attack. But what I'm getting at is, outside of one attack, and it was one attack that shook. It was the largest scale attack we've seen in the entirety of RWBY. It shook the entirety of Haven Academy. Basically, what happens is they sword fight, and it's actually a cool thing because we learn what I said it was coating her blade in dust. I was wrong again. After rewatching it, what she does is essentially she's making dust into blades, and then when they clash, their hits are so strong that they're shattering the blades as they clash, and then she'd quickly resheath and unsheath her blade with a new dust attack, and Cinder would create just more glass weapons. Essentially is what was happening. I made a mistake. I said she was coating her blade in dust. Honest mistake from but multiple viewings. I was able to catch that probably on my second or third viewing of it, but it doesn't end. When I said Raven cut her, what happened was they clashed swords, and the swords exploded, and one of the chunks of dust caught in Cinder's grim arm. So yeah, but what I'm getting at is there was one major time where they used their maiden powers in that entire fight, and it was really, really flashy and really, really big, but only one time. They basically did the maiden ball energy that Cinder used to defeat Ozpin or kill Ozpin, kill the current body of Ozpin, the Professor Ozpin we met to begin with, and that's it. That was the only time they clashed. They caused a mini earthquake and a slight collapse, and then yeah, Next up, the final hit. Now, to me, I said that freaking I made a mistake. I forget what I said in my review. What was it? I should have rewatched my review as well. I think I made it sound like basically what happened was I made it sound like she shot the ball of energy after knocking down Cinder. What happened was basically they clash a couple of times. They in the collapsing, I guess, semi vault, whatever, wherever the basement of Haven Academy is collapsing around them. They fight on the falling stalagmites, which is cool again, but it's not so absurd for huntresses. We've seen Ruby move so fast that she can create a fucking tornado. So that's another issue. Is like they're not move they like, and I'm not saying I enjoyed the fight. I'm not saying it's a bad fight. It was a really really good fight, but I expected a little bit more raw destructive power from two maidens fighting is what I'm getting at. And it's not a bad fight. Like, it was really really well choreographed. It was a good sword fight. It's one of my favorite fights in all of RWBY. And I think it's worse than the Nevermore Deathstalker fight, the Paladin fight. I liked Pyrrha personally. I liked Pyrrha fighting Cardinal and Pyrrha fighting Mercury. I liked Pyrrha fighting Cinder more. I think it was a little bit more interesting. Obviously, because I went into that fight knowing for a fact that Pyrrha was gonna die, I kind of the expectations were just that Pyrrha at least land some hits, and Pyrrha landed some hits, so I was happy with that. The Cinder versus Osmond fight was also really really well done, even though we just saw flashes of it. Here we seen a full fight between two maidens, and while it was good, and it's definitely a top tier fight, I think a lot of it was just not so absurd, not so out of the range of possibility. It was a physical fight when I was expecting a magical fight, is I think what I should say. I expected lots of energy blasts, I expected lots of lightning, lots of fire, lots of ice, lots of rock throwing. I expected essentially two avatars fighting, and what I got was a sword fight, and it was a really really good sword fight, but a sword fight nonetheless, and it was cool. Like, they're just boom 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 clashing, and I love Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so anytime I get some flashes of Star Wars, just bang, and the blades are exploding, and it was so good. It was a really really good fight. Genuine emotion right there, but it was a really really good fight is what I'm getting at. Really intense, really fast, really well choreographed. It just wasn't what I was expecting from two maidens. And back to the end of the fight. Now, basically, what I said was Raven knocked her down and then hit her with an energy ball. It was just how I interpreted it the first couple of times I watched it. It was me being stupid. But what happened essentially is when they land from the falling debris, their auras crack. We then have Raven mock Cinder using the exact same words. She's like, if you were smarter or more powerful or more clever, you would know enough to watch your back. And then Cinder feels Vernal get up. Vernal shoots at her. Cinder blocks it, but when she blocks it, Raven takes advantage and goes by her grim arm, slams a blue energy into her face. And how I'm interpreting what happened was, as Cinder fell, she activated the ice power that she had just injected into Cinder and completely froze her. Here's how I interpret that fight now. I think it was meant to make a callback to what Cinder did to Pyrrha. I think that Cinder was obviously more destructive about it, using fire to incinerate Pyrrha from the inside out. But I think what Raven did was basically do the exact same thing, but with ice. I think she froze Cinder from the inside out. There was no unlike when Cinder froze Raven in the previous episode, where she froze her completely solid from the outside, and just a layer of ice on her. No, what happened was clearly an injection. She hit her in the face, injected her, and then activated it as she fell into the abyss. So do I think Cinder's dead? I said in my review that I'm worried Cinder's going to be alive and she's going to kill Raven. That is still a distinct possibility. The fact is, she's half Grim, or she's gone through some modifications is what I'm getting at. She's gone through some semi-mod, like, we know based on just the Grim Arm alone that she's gone through some modifications. Now, the fact that she can absorb two maiden abilities when that wasn't even a possibility before means that, in my opinion, she's more modified than she lets on just based on her appearance. I think even before Ruby blasted off her arm and in her eye, I think she had already done something to her body that allowed her to absorb two maiden powers into her. This is my how I'm interpreting the events currently, and so I worry that she's gonna somehow melt the ice before she shatters and come up and kill Raven as she's talking to Yang in the next episode. That's my biggest fear. But overall, I think the episode, in repeat viewings, unlike Vault of the Spring Maiden, whereas like, oh, this is a really bad episode. On repeat viewings, I actually began to like it more. I thought I began to enjoy I enjoyed the fight to begin with, but but as each time I knew the events were gonna happen, I got a little bit more into the song. This is the end. Yeah, it's a really really good song. I think it's gonna be one of those top tier, the Bad Luck Charms, the Mirror Mirrors, the I Burn type of songs that people are gonna show their friends what RWBY can do. This is the end. Oh no, you're done. I like it. I think it's a really good song. I think that song can still go either way. To all the people are saying it's definitively a Cinder versus Raven song for sure, but it can be either way just based on the lyrics we're given from a lot of people who've been watching it a lot. It talks about like fire and the fire legend scattering, fire and nobody's gonna miss you. This like things like that. So it could just be because Raven has made it her mission to not let anyone see her true self. Now let's talk about the Raven Maiden thing. I've got into a long argument on a video defending it, and here's my interpretation of events currently from what we got. First off, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna keep filming because I like where this episode is going. Basically, what my interpretation currently on what happened with the Spring Maiden is, first off, I'm not even gonna try to talk about how long she spent under Ozpin or with the Spring Maiden. But from what we got, I believe she spent some time with the Spring Maiden and some time with Ozpin. I think that they've extended the age from like 20 to like 40, close to 40 is what I'm getting at. That's how I interpret it currently. Now, I think it goes against what they were trying to do in Volume 3, but they've played fast and loose with everything else. And while I got mad, and I'm still quite angry with this, especially since there's contradictory evidence, even down to the fact that when Raven first meets with Yang and Weiss, and like I think it's episode 6 or 7 of Volume 5, I could be wrong, but when they first meet, Raven does use the maiden abilities without her mask on, and yeah, there's those people who are saying she's always wearing her mask, so there's that. But no, she clearly does use the maiden powers without her mask on, without the glowing eyes. So yeah, I'm just really, there's so much, there's just here's what I'm gonna say. I think that they didn't, I think they were trying to do something good. I think they were trying to create a power scale here. I think they realized that Vernal probably shouldn't have been able to beat Cinderfall, just based off the fact that, just based off what they did. I think the training that Vernal would have went under Raven doesn't equate to the training that Cinderfall went under Salem. I think that as base fighters, I think that Vernal would have been a weaker base fighter, and I think that they realized that realistically there was no chance that Vernal should have won that fight. That being said, I do believe, like, we've seen maidens lose to just pure skill before. We've seen that yeah, they can hit with a motherfucking big ass club, but that doesn't matter when you're just a weaker, slower fighter. Like, we seen it with Amber. Cinder, Mercury, and Emerald overpowered Amber without any of them losing. Well, no, they lost their aura near the end of the fight, but what I'm getting at is that I think that they should have just left it with Vernal being the maiden. I think that that was their original plan. I think that the lukewarm reception Vernal got by the community had them change it at the last moment. And I'm thinking that's how I think anyways. I don't think, like, just because I think that the age now combined with some of the evidence I've been finding, like the fact that yeah, she has used the maiden powers without the glowing eye, so that whole idea that the helmet is there to block out her eyes is just stupid, especially when she's worn the helmet on every other exchange we've seen her. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. I think it was a last second change that they shouldn't have done. Anyways, those are my second thoughts. I hope you enjoy this episode. I might keep that next volume. Let me know. Do you guys want both first impressions type of review and a second impressions type of review where I do a little bit more, where I'm a little bit more calm? Because I do my reviews shortly after I watch the episode, so you guys can get kind of my genuine impression on the episode. That's why you suddenly can hear me be like, fuck that, like you suddenly hear me back like completely, versus where I'm very very calm and I've put together some more thoughts. So just let me know what you guys think. Should I, or maybe should I wait to do my review a couple of days? I don't know. Like first off, I do like doing the first impressions. I don't have the setup currently available to do a live reaction. I'd love to do a live reaction, but I don't have a setup to do it. Like, this is my computer. It's an Acer laptop that I bought for like $300. This is what I use to watch RWBY. Just an Xbox One. So yeah, I would love to do live reactions, but I don't have the setup. It would be fun to do live reactions. I love RWBY, so I'd love to do a live reaction and something like this where I do a second opinion on the episode. But I don't have the setup to do it, and maybe by next volume I'll have the setup. To do live reactions as well as the second opinion videos, but currently I just don't have the setup, and I would love to do it. If you guys want me to do keep doing these second opinion videos, let me know down in the comment section down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Amino, follow me please on Amino as well. I love having you guys. Gira, you commented on a couple of my videos across this volume, so Gira, if you're watching this, good on you, mate. I love you. You're my most freaking commenter. Everyone else who just likes the video, I thank you. I appreciate it. With volume 5 coming to an end, which like I said, I'm gonna do an end of volume review as well as my volume 5 episode 14 review. I'm gonna I'm gonna enjoy. I'm excited for the return of RWBY Chibi. I'm excited to hear the full versions of Path to Isolation. This is the end. The opening theme. I think the openings are generally much better when you hear the extended version. But I'll get on to my thoughts just like those in my final video for volume 5. I want to do more theories. My crow theory kind of sucked, but I'm gonna do better. It was my first time trying that. I'm gonna change the format a little bit more. Like, comment down below. Securage signing off.